Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the basics of HTML and CSS. By the end of this video, we'll be able to create a simple web page. To follow along this video, you don't need any prerequisite to be able to understand the video. And for encouragement, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. Before we dive into writing code, let's talk about what you need to get started. First, you need a text editor. You can use any plain text editor like Notepad on Windows or TextEdit on Mac, but I recommend using a code editor like Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, or Atom. These editors have features that make writing code easier, such as syntax highlighting and auto completion. Next, you will need a web browser to test your HTML and CSS. Popular options include Google Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. I recommend using Chrome for its excellent developer tools. And finally, you need a basic understanding of how files are organized on your computer. Create a new folder for your project where you save your HTML and CSS. To get started, we have to download VS Code. If you don't have it in your system, go to Google and search for VS Code. The first site that opens, open it and you see download at the other side here. So you click the download, and after some minutes, depending on your internet connection, it is going to be downloaded. So after that, we'll open the VS Code. Let's go and open VS Code. VS Code is open right now, and we need to get our folder. Okay, here's our folder. All right, to open our folder and increase VS Code. All right, so the folder is open. You can click over the folder. See it. So the first thing that we need to do is to create our HTML document, HTML file. So you can give it any name, tutorial.html. So with the extension .html there, it tells the browser that okay, this is an HTML file and it can be rendered in the browser. So you click it in a minute. So this is a boilerplate for all HTML documents. So I will explain this right now. So for the first tag here, it's called HTML doc type declaration. What it really means is that it's a document. It tells the browser that this is an HTML file document, and the HTML tag is the root element. So inside it we have the head and the body. So and the head contains mental information about the document, like the title, like as you can see in the browser, this whatever is in the title, that's what the document the browser will show. So the body contains the content of the page, like the headings, the paragraphs, and the links. So let's write some HTML element. See H1. In a minute, I'm going to explain what all these are. All right, so we need to open our HTML document. So to open our HTML document, we can simply right click and open with in browser. You can see it has been displayed. So if you pay attention very closely, you see that the title contains here is document. So if you look at the top of the browser, you see it, the tab, you see document. So it gives the information about the web page. So we are going to change it now to something more better tutorial. Okay. So you see, okay, we now have to refresh. Okay, there's something I need to show you guys, which is a live server. So if you notice, before what we wrote in our HTML document displayed in the browser, I have to come and refresh the browser first. But it can simply be done automatically by what is called a live server. So the live server helps the browser to quickly refresh the page even as we edit our HTML document. So in the left corner here, you see extension. You click extensions and you look for live server. Okay, think I need to connect to the internet before. All right, we can now we'll search for live server. All right, because I've already installed it, you will see the installation installed there. If you have not installed it, you see it here. So I've already installed it, live server by Week Dive. So instead of opening with HTML in browser, open PHP like HTML in browser, you can just simply come to live server and open with live server. So you see it now. This is the one you open with the normal browser, and this is the one for the live server. So we'll close the tab for the normal browser. So let's go explain some stuffs there in our page. So right here we have the h1 tag. The h1 tag is the header. It shows as the header. There are 6 different headings. We have the h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, and h6. For example, the h1 is the first heading that comes in a browser. So you cannot put an h2 before you put an h1. Let's say if I put h2 here or h3 here and say this is the h3 heading and move over to the browser, you can see that the h3 is smaller than the h1. So it is not a good practice to put lesser headings at the top of a bigger heading. So I'm going to remove this. And so the next tag here is we have a paragraph. So whenever you want to write a paragraph in the HTML document, you use the paragraph paragraph tag. And also the next one here is the link. It's a link. So if we look at the browser, you can see if I click here, it will take me to another link, take me to another part of the browser. Let me change it to google.com. Alright, so if I click now, it's going to take me to Google. So sometimes when you're in a website and you click a link and it takes you to another link, or it opens a browser on another tab for another web page, it's they are simply using the anchor tag. So this is an anchor tag. So let's add more HTML tags to it. But before we add HTML tag, more tag to it, there is something I need to explain, which is semantic element and non-semantic element. So the HTML elements can be classified as semantic or non-semantic. The semantic element clearly describes their meaning in a human and machine readable way. Let's take for example the H1 tag here. Anyone that sees this will know that okay, this is the heading. This is the heading. And anyone that sees the paragraph part will know that okay, this is a paragraph. This is a paragraph. So it's any tag that describe what it actually is known as the semantic element. There are other semantic elements like the navigation, the nav bar, navigation, the footer. The footer, it tells the browser that okay, it tells the browser that okay, this is the footer part of the HTML page. For example, let's just go to any web page of our choice and see, okay, let's say um next, let's see, okay, mm, let me pick a site. Okay, let's just go with anyone here. So if you look at this web page, when we come to the down part of it, you see the whole of this place from this top down here is known as the footer part, and the whole of this place for this place here is known as the navigation bar. So it is this top here that makes you to navigate between pages in this particular website. So it is very important that as you begin to write your HTML pages, you write it in a semantic way so that it will be more readable to both humans and machines. So we are going to add more tags to our HTML elements, our HTML page rather. So we'll first of all go with the header. And we also put a navigation bar in the header. going to remove this. So let's see how our document look like now. So as you can see that my website is the H1 of the document. So we'll simply remove this and make this H2. So so as you can see, this is our basic website. The next thing that we need to do now is to talk about the non-semantic element. So the non-semantic elements do not describe the content, their content. For example, we have the li and the division. We have the div. We'll talk more about how we can style them later, but for now, I want you to understand that okay, the div element does not give any information about its page. So the advice is to make sure you use semantic element as possible. So one thing that you need to take note of again in the line 9 to 13, we discovered that elements can be nested inside elements. Like the body element has a header and a footer element in it. So the header element has each one and also have a navigation in it. So and the navigation element also have li, and the li, each of the li have an anchor tag which is used as a link. So this practice is known as nesting. So we nest elements inside elements depending on how we want our page to be structured in. Because as we know, HTML simply means hypertext markup language. It's used to mark up the structure of our page. So the next thing that we need to do is to talk about CSS. Now that we have been able to get something about the HTML and how we can start up a web page, let's take a look at how we can actually add some CSS to it to make it more beautiful. If you notice, the HTML document is taken from the top to the bottom. So you get the top, the first one that you write, that's the first one that will display, followed by the second and third. So it is displayed from top to bottom. That's how the HTML page is arranged. Now the CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheet, is used to give the page a beautiful design in a way that makes it look good and make it look attractive. If you look at the head element, you will see a link tag that I've added to it in the line 7. So this usually tells the HTML page that it should go look for a style sheet somewhere else, located somewhere else, to that can be used to beautify this page. So let's create the CSS file. So right now let's write some CSS in our page. I will explain this in a minute. Our CSS file will define rules to style the HTML element. Each rule consists of a selector and a declaration block. The selector specify which HTML element the rule applies to, and the declaration block contains one or more declaration separated by a semicolon. If we look at this HTML, this CSS file, we can see that the body here is the selector, and this curly brackets here, everything inside this curly bracket is known as the selection rule. So we will pick a property. Now you select the body. Now, which property do you want to set? The font family. Now, this is known as the value. If you go to the next property, the background color, what do you want to set it as? This color. Let's look at our HTML page and how it is. As you can see, this is how our HTML page look with the styling that we applied to it. Okay, that's it for this basic introduction to HTML and CSS. We have covered the essentials to get you started on creating your own page. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more web development tutorials.